So as I'm going over a couple things in my head, as far as timeline goes and fucking people that have passed away, and it's like, this and that, like, and the stories that are flooding into my head, it's like, my friend, she says, she mentions this person's, just a name. And with everything else that we're talking about right now, like Alfredo Flores and fucking James Diaz and Mr. Perez and Damian Perez and the handgun that went missing and all of this shit. And it's like it had nothing to do, like, that's what I'm saying, like. So she mentions this girl's name, a girl's name. And it's interesting because my initials are freaking Anthony Michael Yackee, which spells Amy, right? If you want to be fucking technical, right? So it's like, it's like that's why I'm saying it's like I'm thinking in my fucking head, like, wow, man, like, how interestingly fucking does all this. First off, there's the initial me meeting this girl named Danielle, and not a lot of fucking people from my neighborhood hung out with this girl Danielle, um, at all. And she went to a different school, and because of borderline shit, and it's like being friends with her. It's like, well, we were friends for, I don't even know, like, shit, probably right before I got a car. So it's like that's what I'm saying. It's like we were friends for freaking years. Like, I used to go to her house and, like, knock at a window when I was drunk or something. I would knock at a window, and her window was pretty fucking high up, so I couldn't fucking actually, like, so we'd sit there and we'd talk. She fucking That's the whole point. It's like and the one time that I did fucking climb through, oh man, and I had to replace the fucking shingles on the fucking house. I was like, wow, man. That's the whole point too. It's like me and Danielle were friends for a long couple years, a long couple years, and it's like we hung out, like, whenever we hung out usually by ourselves, like, there wasn't a lot of people around, and it's like it's fucked up because it's like towards, like, Halloween, towards, like, a whole bunch of other shit that was going down. Uh, that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm trying to think of, like, the actual specific time period because, in other words, we go walking up to the fucking store, and she's with some friends, and one of her friends I definitely like. Like, I think they're cute or hot or whatever you want to consider it. And then it's like, but all her friends looked pretty good, and it was like, all right, it's like we all walked up to the store. Somebody was gonna help me get a beer or two, and freaking nobody else was really freaking drinking. It's like that's what I mean. It's like it's fucked up because it's like, but the point fucking being is that on the way back from the store, and there was an adult, more of an adult with us, um, a fucking white fucking Camaro pulls up and starts saying that we flipped the fucking Camaro off and they're coming back with more people. Now there was two guys there, and there was, like, probably me. There was also me, another guy, and then there was, like, maybe six girls were there. So there was our whole group consisted of, like, basically, like, nine freaking people, and mostly girls. And the next thing you know, there's, like, literally, like, I don't even know how many fucking guys came around the corner. Like 30 different guys, 30 people, 30 kids our age, fucking big, small, short, tall, whatever the fucking, like, they all come around the fucking corner, and it's like, oh, and then it went from, like, oh, you flipped off our car, to fucking, oh, you threw a beer bottle at our car. And that's when Danielle and a couple other ones, they were like, that's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. But they singled me right the fuck out. Like, these fucking, I don't even know how many fucking kids, 27 fucking people had to be at least close to it. And the reason I know that is because of what happened after the fucking story. So, well, what happened after the fact that they all surrounded me. The one kid comes and fucking bangs me out with a fucking knife to my fucking chest, and fucking the rest of the kids are busting bottles over my fucking head. It's like, while I'm holding a 6-pack, I'm sitting there like, wow, that's fucking crazy. You know, that's great. Wonderful. You know, over something that fucking didn't even happen. The other two kids took off. I don't know what the fuck that were with us. They took the fuck off. These kids completely surrounded me. The girls are fucking screaming, what the fuck? He didn't do nothing to you, motherfuckers. Blah, blah, blah. Leave him the fuck alone. And fucking, dude, that's what I'm saying. It's like, what's fucking interesting is that, you know, so after all this goes down, and they don't even knock me to the fucking... The bottom line is that we come around the corner, and I'm fueled, man. At that point, I'm like, I told the girls, I'm like, yo, I'm like, walk ahead right now. I'm like, walk ahead right now, and don't, you know, don't worry what happens. You know, if anything, I said to them, I did say to them, I said, you will go fucking get fucking home and alert the fucking cops that fucking this just went down. But the cops were already being fucking called anyway at that point. Like they must have busted like fucking, I don't even know how many fucking bottles. And I'm talking, some of those bottles were like heavy made liquor bottles. Like they weren't just beer bottles busting over my fucking head. So it's it's crazy, man. Like fucking 40 bottles, all that shit. That, I mean, we used to fucking throw 40 bottles up into the air back in the day, and watch as they fucking hit the ground and would, I mean, the pavement, and like literally throw them up into the fucking air and watch them hit the fucking ground and fucking bounce, not break. That's how fucking crazy 40 bottles were fucking made back then, you know, literally. So, these things are literally fucking busting over my head. And it's like, and the one kid that came up to me stabs me with a fucking knife above the shirt. I still have the fucking shirt, actually. The shirt's right over fucking there. So the fucking interesting part is where the kid stabbed me. Now, the shirt was pretty freaking well made, and the cut mark or the stab mark, I mean, the knife went through, but it didn't go fucking through the way that it could have went through. But what's interesting is if you freaking lay this out on my chest, where the fucking knife mark would have been right where my fucking heart was. Would have been, in other words, and I'll get to that. Now the heart's on this side. Okay, the video's not flipped. My heart's on this side. It's on the right side. The where it should be. But here's what's interesting. So the part that's interesting is that, in other words, because of the girl who was supposed to be my wife, whose heart was on the wrong side of her chest, I'm wondering if they read those fucking supposedly top secret classified documents of who this girl was, and thought that fucking because her heart ended up on the other side of her chest, And because my fucking DNA was supposedly what was in her, the fucking, not through normal. That's what I'm saying. It's like I have a funny feeling that this fucking bastard that fucking initially tried to stab me right in the fucking heart. He just missed the fucking. He just thought my heart was on the wrong side of my fucking chest. Now, as all the fucking kids are busting bottles and cracking bottles over my fucking head, this is what's interesting too. And I'm just gonna freaking. I'm just. So the bottom line is that after all this is said and done and all the bottles are fucking broken around me and fucking, I mean, there's like a circle of broken glass from all the fucking bottles breaking around me. And I just remember walking at the one kid like, yo, it's gonna happen to you. You know, like the kid that stabbed me. Like if I like at that point, like, wow, man. The minute I let go of those fucking beers that I was holding in my hand in the 6-pack, it was like the minute I fucking let go of those beers, I mean, fucking, that's it. They all scattered, man. They all fucking scattered. They all ran back around the corner. Now, me and the girls are coming back and around the corner. And, by the way, this is happening on Halloween night. And this is another interesting part of all this, right? This story is so far from being over right now. So, I tell the girls, go ahead, you know? Tell them all, go ahead, fucking get home, call the cops. If I don't come back within so much amount of time, call the fucking cops. Like, meanwhile, the cops were already fucking aware, supposedly, because, and I'll tell you what happens in a little bit. So the bottom line is that, you know, Danielle's telling me, don't do it, Anthony, don't go back. I'm like, nah, fuck this shit. I'm like, fuck this shit. Like 27 fucking people. I didn't know how many there were until I was standing in front of all of them. Now, I'm standing in front of all these fucking kids and my age or close to my age, fucking whether they were older or younger, does not matter. The point being is now I'm standing in front of them and they're standing in like 3 different rows, like a choir. So, yeah. So they're standing in like 3 different rows, like a freaking choir, all right? And that's how I was able to like figure out. It's like, you know, there had to be at least 27 of these motherfuckers. Because, you know, the first row had about like 8 or 9. The next row had about fucking 8 or 9, maybe 10. And then the back row had about 7 to fucking 9 people. You know, it's like, I'm not actually visualizing it in my fucking head right now, but there, you know, if you add up fucking 8, 8, and 8, what is 8, 8, and 8? That's about, 24 fucking 16, 24. So, yeah, so, you know, there's 24 fucking kids or so, and then 2 of the kids ran in the fucking house that were with this group. That 2 of the kids fucking ran into the fucking house. They're like, oh, we ain't fucking with you, RoboCop. We ain't fucking with you. Oh, man, you're fucking sorry, RoboCop. Fucking holy shit. And they ran away. The other fucking kids are standing there, and I'm sitting there talking to them, and I'm like, what the fuck was this all about? You know, I'm like, oh, you like to play fucking games, huh? How about this? Now I knock every single one of you out. One by one. I want every one of you right now. I want every fucking one of you one by one right now. Who's got the balls to step up first? None of them. None of them fucking stood up. None of them stood up. None of them. No, oh, you like playing games? Well, here's the new game. The new game is now I fucking knock every one of you out until one of you knock me out. 1-on-1. Let's go. And I'm not thinking of the specific, because it was like that. So nobody stepped up. So I'm standing there and I'm just like, and then that's what I'm saying. Nobody wanted none of it. So then I start walking down the road. I catch back up with the girls, which are now like a fucking 200 feet, 300 feet away. Walking up the road. And just as I get to the fucking girls, the one black kid that was standing way in the back, oh, I'll do it. I'll fight you. I was like, you know what? Fucking, I'm walking away with 6 girls right now. and you're with 23 other guys. Point being is that we get back to my friend's house, Danielle's house, and we noticed that the fucking kid stabbed me. Like I knew the kid, like I didn't even know at first. I didn't even know that the kid stabbed me. Like at fucking, I didn't even notice it. Like I felt the punch, but it was an awkward fucking punch. I fucking felt the pressure, but I didn't feel the knife enter into my fucking skin. Probably because of the fucking way that the shirt's woven, literally. And fucking the bottom line is that freaking So the girls are sitting there fucking wiping my fucking head down full of blood. Like my head is fucking busted the fuck open on the top. But the bottom line is that freaking so in doing so I met the one girl I liked. I told her I liked her and fucking, I'm sitting there a little bit dizzy from some of this, but either way it doesn't matter. Like fucking like, the freaking mom stitched up the shirt and was like, what the fuck happened? And it was like, they just jumped him fucking for no reason. They just jumped him. Fucking 20 fucking something of them just jumped Anthony. It's like, that's the whole fucking point. It's like the girl, the other girl comes into the fucking room and I kind of get into fucking, I kind of like this girl a little bit, and freaking, she's pretty, whatever. The fucking point is not the girl that I'm sitting there I like and that I really was trying to talk to. And then freaking, so everybody leaves, fucking night wears down, fucking I go home, fucking all this shit. And the bottom line is that Danielle hooks me up with the friend that she tells my friend that I liked her and blah blah blah. Me and this girl start hanging out. Now, at this point in time, and I don't know how long ago. I don't know what the time difference was. I don't know if it was right away or a few months later. Like Danielle was like, "Yo, my friend wants, my friend Amy wants to know you," and blah blah blah, and all this other shit, and And the point being is that that's the fucking point. It's like little do I realize that around about this same time period, I'm being fucking poisoned. Now, the reason I say that is because when the girl that I liked, which was Amy that night, wanted to hang out with me, me and Amy ended up getting together. And this was right after, and this is the interesting part too. This is right after me hooking up Joe Ballantoni with some girl that I met at the mall. Like, just randomly met this girl and was like, hey, what's up, you like the freaking, and whatever. And I liked the girl, she was pretty, but we never got together, me and that girl. I freaking probably could have gotten with her. She was hanging all over me, and instead I fucking hooked her up with my friend Joe Ballantoni. Now, what's interesting is that, so then around about the same time, maybe a little after the me hooking my friend up, that's when me and Amy ended up hooking up. And I think that's when it happened. When the fuck did that happen? Yeah, because that was before Joe ended up fucking, yeah. So before Joe ended up freaking giving me the fucking handgun, which now I'm thinking was fucking Damian Perez's fucking handgun. And here's the fucking point. It's like, so me and Amy hook up, and I'm pissed off at that point because I can't fucking do what I normally could do in fucking. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I like this girl. Why the fuck isn't my dick getting hard? Why the fuck do I not feel like right in my head? And Amy was aware of something. She was like, what the fuck, Anthony? She's like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, she was very nice, but at the same, so we ended up just becoming friends over the next, like, couple years. And the bottom line is that freaking, it was like, what's really fucking interesting is that Amy started to date this kid. And this is why I'm telling this story in the first fucking place, because this is what popped into my head too. It's like, it's like Amy started dating this kid that looked like Alfredo Flores. Now, that's where it gets interesting, okay? Because at the same time, around about the same time, Danielle, my friend Danielle, she starts freaking dating this kid who, interestingly enough, looks like Nikki D'Agostino's ex-boyfriend from recently, a few years ago. But this is going back, like, we're talking 99, 2000, 1998. So, that's why I'm saying it's like it's interesting because it's like I go to freaking Amy's house to go watch a freaking movie with her and her boyfriend. Like me and Amy, I liked Amy a lot, and that's where it's interesting too because it's like I liked Amy, but I didn't understand what the fuck was going on with me. It's like I wasn't myself. Like what I should have done was fucking literally, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I literally should have been able to fuck Amy into a fucking coma. Okay, that's what I should have been able to do. And instead of fucking Amy into a coma where she would be like, all right, it's like, yeah, no, I was barely like, I was just like, I don't know what's wrong. I like you, and I don't know what the fuck is going on. And that's why I'm saying it's like the shit. Like I could fuck on drugs. I could fuck on. It's like there was nothing that I couldn't fucking. That's what I'm saying. It's like. But then all of a sudden I get with this girl that I'm liking, and at the time, like Amy wasn't like the point being is that I still liked her. All in all, it's like. But the point being is that fucking I'm trying to think of what fucking details are important and what details are not important. So the point being is that me and Amy remained friends. Here and there, we kind of fucking hung out once or twice. Fucking maybe smoked some weed. I don't even fucking know. But one day, she's like, "Hey, Aunt, what's up? You've been wanting to hang out. You want to come over and fucking watch a movie with me and my boyfriend?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And that's when I met her boyfriend. Maybe once before that, actually, I met him, but the together with her, and he's the one that looked like Alfredo Flores. Now, but he was like a more big, like he was like a sort of bigger version, I would say. Like he was almost my size. All right, and it's interesting some of the shit that came out of his mouth, but it's like he wasn't like so much. You know what? It just wasn't. It wasn't rude. And I wasn't being rude. And so we're watching this freaking movie, and all of a sudden my beeper goes off, and it's this girl that I grew up with practically that lived down the block, and she's like, Anthony, she's like, can you please come pick me up from this party? And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, you never call me, like fucking really ever. We stopped hanging out so long, together so much. And she's like, I'm at this party, Anthony. She's like, I don't know. She's like, I'm glad you called me back. She's like, I'm really fucking drunk right now. She's like, and there's these guys, and they're trying to fucking, they're trying to fucking do stuff more than just hit on me and blah, blah, blah. And I keep telling them no and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, it's like, I have no gas in my car, but I'll come pick you up. I'm like, you better be there, and I turned to Amy and her boyfriend, who looks like Alfredo Flores. I forget his name. And what's interesting is that, and then, yeah, because I'm gonna get to Danielle and her boyfriend in a second. Right now, I don't know which happened first. I don't know. I think it was. I think actually the story that I'm gonna tell in a minute is what happened first with Danielle and her boyfriend, which I'm pretty sure his name was Anthony, which is real interesting because he looked exactly like Nicole D'Agostino's boyfriend named Anthony. So now I'm saying to my fucking self, wow, that's really interesting because that story actually, so that story comes first, I would say. Uh, Danielle and her, or did it come second? You know what? Let me just finish this story. The point being is that so then Amy gets into the car with me and freaking her boyfriend gets into my car when we're going to go pick up Michelle Denise, and Michelle's supposedly drunk at this party and she don't want to be there and she don't like what the fuck's going on and blah blah blah. And the minute I showed up, it seemed like everybody was party. It was a party, but it was like, the kid that answers the door is like, "Why don't you come in?" It's like, well, and there's another kid playing with a fucking butterfly knife and fucking, it's like, and then I look over to the left side and it's like, oh, there's a keg sitting on the kitchen table and, there's a whole bunch of kids. There's an adult there and it's like, okay, so why the fuck is this happening at this point in time? I'm wondering to myself. And it's like, oh, you can come in, you're welcome. It's like, yeah, I'll just wait right here. Can you please go get Michelle and let's just fucking. So Amy and her boyfriend, now I don't know if they seen Amy and her boyfriend sitting in the fucking car. Okay. The car was still running because I had no gas and I was afraid literally that if I was to shut off the fucking car, I wouldn't be able to restart the fucking car. And I'm thinking there should not be that long of a fucking. It should not take that long to go and fucking literally get Michelle. So my car's running. Amy and her boyfriend are in the fucking car, and I'm standing at the doorstep, not going into the house, more than maybe a foot into the house. Why they go get fucking Michelle? They get Michelle. Michelle could barely walk. I bring Michelle to the car. Amy and fucking her boyfriend help her get in, blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't know if these people knew that Amy and her boyfriend were in the freaking car. What I do know is that right after we got the fuck out of there, they were like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea if it's creepy or not creepy yet. Fucking, and then we go around the fucking corner, and sure as shit, we get 2 blocks away around the corner, and all of a sudden my car dies from no gas. So now we're like, fuck. It's like, dude, there was a lot of kids at that party. Michelle barely knows where the fuck she is, other than she's with me, and that she's somewhat safe. And freaking, we start to walk. We're helping Michelle walk, and she's like, she can walk, but she can't walk well. So we get to this fucking we go up the road. It's like, well, I live a few miles away, but maybe if we can get to some place, I could have somebody come pick me up, with you guys, obviously, us up, And freaking instead we bump into these two guys and we're like, normally we wouldn't do this, but we need some help. Blah blah blah. We had to go pick up this girl from a party, blah blah blah, and they're delivering shit. It's late at night and freaking it's like, can you just help us out with a little bit of gas for my car, just enough to if I could get everybody home, which is not very far, so a few miles, and get myself home. They say, yeah, freaking, we just got to come with them. So me and Amy's boyfriend, we're looking at this situation like, it's like, if it happens, it fucking, it's like, would we be able to take these two people that now we're getting into their truck, right? So it's like, with the girls, and especially Michelle freaking being completely wasted drunk. And yeah, man, it's like freaking the night ended so Michelle's like, well, I can't go home like this. And we bring Michelle back to Amy's house. We finish watching the movie, blah blah blah, and fucking, because it takes us a little while to get the gas. So Michelle's like kind of sobering up a little bit at that point, but she's like, I still can't go home. And we go back to Amy's house, watch the rest of the movie. Michelle keeps calling me over, and freaking, I'm like, I'm not going nowhere near this, like, at all. Like, I stayed over near near Danielle and her boyfriend, while Michelle was like literally like trying to sober up on her own, and she didn't puke or anything, which was great. And even the point being is that, so then we're going home in the morning time. We're going home, and Michelle's like, oh, I don't want to go home yet. She's like, I'm still fucking pretty fucked up. She's like, let's go back to your house. I go back to my house. We do not fuck. We do not fuck. We do not have any type of sex whatsoever. Like, I'm not gonna fucking sit there and take advantage of my friend that I've known for fucking how many years, why she's fucking, you know. So the bottom line is that a couple hours go by, and then freaking I drive Michelle home. I drive Michelle back to her house, and then the very next day after that, Michelle's like, oh, can you drive me to school? Blah. She shows up to my door and she's like, can you drive me to school with, I want to drive to school with you and blah, blah, blah. And that's that. So that's basically the fucking whole way that story ended. Right now, the other fucking story is interesting too, because now, see, now Amy's hearing some shit, and we just didn't have a chance to like talk about anything at that point. Like, this was a conversation that started like a couple weeks prior with me and Amy about freaking something weird that was being said about me behind my back, and then there's what happens at Danielle's house. Now, I've known at that point, I knew Danielle for probably like shit 5 or 6 years. What the fuck? Fucking yeah, at least around about 4 to 6 years I knew Danielle for, and probably even a little bit longer than that. But we didn't hang out until later on, when we got older. So, point being, Danielle was going out with this guy named Anthony, and sure as hell, he looked a whole lot and acted a whole lot like the guy that was dating Nicole D'Agostino just recently, a few years ago. And his name was fucking Anthony. And what's also interesting is he also, and I said this right then and there to Danielle back then, I said, you know something, it's like, oh man, because when she started dating this guy, I was like, oh, it's funny, it's like, you look like Anthony, the guy who's dating Stephanie. And Stephanie looked like fucking Amy, kind of. And then Amy looked kind of like fucking, and then it goes on and on and on and on. So the point fucking being is that it's like, oh yeah, it's like blah, blah, blah. I go hang out with them. And that's when a really, really weird fucking conversation starts to occur. And the weird conversation, now there's other shit going on at the same fucking time. Like, now that's where I'm saying, like, there was other weird shit that went on at that fucking precise time period, or around about that time period. And that has something to do with my that's what I'm saying, being told to come to a birthday party while I'm fucked up on ecstasy, which was my friend's little sister's birthday party. Like, I'm thinking that was around about the same time that all this shit's going down too. And that is not like, that's why I'm saying this whole fucking thing is so fucked up. This whole thing is so fucked up. And and then I'm thinking to my head, like, it's like, so Danielle starts this conversation with me, and I'm like, I really don't even know if I even want to have this conversation, because there's so many of these conversations going on, not just about me, but just in general, what the fuck is going on, as far as